love it so much.
Okay, while we're waiting for some more equipment, I need 5 volunteers, maybe more. I want each one of those C-stands set up, and some of them are different than others, so we need to kind of look at them together. You should not leave this room without knowing how to set up a C-stand. So let's bring them all out here.
Oh, you have to do it all at the same time, okay?
And since there's so many of us today, it might be a good idea to get 2 people per C-stand because it helps. And I'll see you right there.
What is that supposed to
I'm going to put the roll for the lab, guys, right up here. Be sure you sign that before you leave.
Okay, they're off. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. No problem.
Because we're smart people.
And by the way,
Say plate. Where's the
have we talked about the law? Number 2, if you loosen it, tighten it. I keep picking up C-stands, and the top comes flying down and slams me in the shins. I don't need any more scars. If you loosen it, tighten it. Hey,
I just heard your voice and I wanted to say hi.
you heard the law.
Yeah, I heard the law.
And I will deal with law number 3. Law number 3 effed us up yesterday on a shoot.
Oh, but wait, are
so
y'all
I'm
going
just-
over like C-stand and camera
In fact,
laws?
everybody should take a look at this because these are our newer ones and they are different. Okay, can everybody get around to see this? So there is, you leave this tight, pull this up, and when you do, you spin the legs around until they lock into place. So I'll hold this up, you spin them around. Here and click into place, so you'll feel it. There's that one, there's that one. And then when you let it down, they're locked. Okay? Anybody have any trouble? Everybody think they can do it now if they need to? Okay. Okay, now we're going to stage this. The way you stage these. All right, bring me an open.
right there. That's the worst part about this body, guys.
Stack them.
No shit.
It's also professional term.
You're the professional. Is that the technical term? Wait, think about a wiggle.
Yeah.
Give it a little wiggle.
Okay, we're going to go over there. I'm not doing this right. Oh, there we go. There we go. Right.
Well, I hit the right front.
Got one more? Okay. Then just said where C-stand's useful. We're going to go over that in class today. But the first thing, the easiest thing is when you take this off. Wrong one. It's a heavy-duty light stand. So we're going to get some light stands out here in a few minutes. And you're going to see that the light stands have exactly this kind of connection on the top of them. Okay? The other thing we're going to see them used for are flags or other things. Anything you want to put up in the air, but you want to get the thing off to the side of the base. All sorts of ways to hook things into this. Throw it out there. Crank it up. You got something out there. The base is off camera. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, to get started today, well, let's see, I'm going to need a volunteer in a minute, but before we do that, we're going to be looking at light from six, I never come up with a good word for this, 6 tendencies, 6 traits, 6 approaches. Every time you turn a light on and put it somewhere, you should be thinking about these 6 things, and we're going to do them in order. Intensity, quality, contrast, direction and angle, color, and shape. If you think through all those, eventually, hopefully, it becomes instinct. If you think through all these, you'll figure out lighting. We're probably going to get to about here today. So we're going to start off talking about intensity. And in order to talk about intensity, one of these area kits, do we have 2 area kits or just one?
I think we just had one.
Do we need to?
It depends on what's in here.
Is it the 4 or the 2?
We got 3 150 or 300? 300.
Hey, Kit.
Yeah, we need a kit with a 600.
This is going on a personal thing.
Look,
While we're waiting on that,
from you.
Richard,
You did
Yes, sir.
this.
Thank you.
sorry, I'll be stepping all over you guys. Both cameras rolling now?
Both cameras.
This is how I bow at the end of my dance, actually.
Oh my goodness. Does that read?
No, literally after my piece where I just like collapse threw myself around the stage for like 2 minutes and I just go.
Camera's on, right?
Yep.
I'm probably gonna go down there Saturday and check out that trip. I appreciate it.
Come on, buddy.
All right, I gotta do one more thing, and this takes me a minute.
Go for it.
Oh, I always hit the wrong button while I'm doing this.
For the most part, yeah.
No,
I think the last thing you said was
What was the last thing?
This. This.
You should see yourself on the screen.
This. Yes, I got all the right buttons this time.
The timing of the focus head.
That's my favorite thing to do whenever a camera.
I believe you're very
How's that gonna go away?
Are you ready? Yeah.
It's like,
How long do I have to get rid of this?
It's like I said yesterday. Stop hitting that. You know, it's easier.
Okay, next thing we need to do is go into the menu. Do you know how to do this and get all of the stuff on the screen going up to the monitor?
Going up to the screen to the monitor. Good. HDMI.
I think it's actually under the OLED.
Heard.
Maybe it is under.
OLED setup.
Okay. Maybe not.
Mirror image.
No, don't turn that on.
Off.
We'll sit.
Do you find your send up?
How long do you
Check the wrench.
Custom display?
No, go over to the wrench to the left.
Oh, the wrench, my bad.
Number one, while we're here, where it says WFM, click on that. Go to setting on, and go up to waveform monitor, and leave that on. Now go back. Let's get back to the wrench. Is it in here? Let me look for it real quick. My
Gaffer?
instinct will kick in. I think.
Muscle memory.
He said.
He said,
Yeah. Maybe it is. It's probably an
On-screen
HDMI.
displays?
Oh my God, yes. Actually, that's on, so it should be. Oh, it's not on the camera. That's the problem. Okay, hold on.
There's display.
display.
button
Where is it?
on this.
Oh, my beep.
Oh, that's it. That's it. You got it.
My beep.
You got
I
it.
turned it up. That's my beep.
There we go. All right, good. All right, now we need to be in 800, 1/48th of a second. Color temperature does not matter. Okay. Did we get the other kit? Did he show up with the other kit yet? All right. Well, let's talk about a couple things while we're doing that. We're going to be looking at 2 kinds of lights today. And once we get to next week, we're not going to look at one of those 2 lights types again. We're going to be looking at incandescent lights, which are also referred to as tungsten. And we're going to be looking at LED lights, which is short for, and it's on the board, which is short for light emitting diode. Okay? Old school is incandescent. An incandescent light is a lamp, and I'll show you this in a minute. A lamp or a bulb. The bulb is either a vacuum or it has some kind of gas in it. In there, there's a piece of metal, like a coil of metal, and when you send electricity through the coil of metal, it generates heat and it generates light. Okay, this is the thing Edison invented. Anybody know why it's called tungsten?
Because the kind of bulb?
Yes, more specific?
The metal.
Yes, the metal inside was originally, and in many cases still is, tungsten, which is an element. What else does tungsten tell us about the light?
That it can blow up.
Well, it could certainly melt your hand off if you
Well,
touch
say
it.
it's the heat.
They're incredibly hot. It also means the light is orange. LEDs, generally speaking, are bluish, although they can be adjusted. Tungsten lights are almost always, but not always, of an orange hue. Okay, we got a 650 now? Yes. All right, so when you open these kits up, and these are the incandescent lights. First thing we can immediately talk about, oh, smoke, hold on, is packing cases. Let's talk about that.
Damn.
Okay.
It is not that hard to put things together.
Have to get this down there. It's got to come out.
Good grief.
Okay. So the first thing we can say about intensity, which is just another way of saying brightness, right, is that we can control brightness. Let's focus on something.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
We can control brightness right here with an aperture ring. I can make the light seem dimmer. I can make the light seem brighter, right? So our first step, or one of our steps, in controlling intensity is aperture. Or shutter speed or anything else that impacts exposure, right? Problem with that is, if I adjust the exposure, every light I'm using gets dimmer, or every light I'm using gets brighter, and sometimes you want to individually control them. Another way that we measure how intense a light is by a measure of electricity, a measure of wattage. You may recall in the old days when you would go to the store, in fact still do, and buy a desk lamp, it would say it's a 40-watt bulb, it's a 60-watt bulb, it's a 100-watt bulb, right? Higher the wattage, brighter the bulb. Even if you go buy an LED light for your desk lamp, right, it will now say 40-watt equivalent, because it's giving you that much light, but it's going to use less electricity. That's one of the advantages of LED. It may be, say, 60-watt equivalent. They may say 100-watt equivalent. So we still kind of measure it that way. These lights, once again, we can look in here and we can see that there is this incandescent lamp, right? Got a bunch of metal in there that's going to heat up and brighten up and create all of the light that this is going to put out. You may also notice that behind it is a silver reflector, so that we don't lose any of the light going out. Oh, I'm showing it to you. Going out of the back of the light, right? So it reflects it all going forward. And the other thing you may notice about this light, it has a lens.
Don't touch it.
No, that's okay. You can't break this lens that way. What does this lens do? Not all lights have these lenses.
Does it disperse the light
So you make it stronger?
Not.
even?
It does not.
Is it, are we talking about the Fresnel?
Yes,
How
it's a Fresnel, yeah.
makes a spotlight or spreads it out?
Not really. Somebody teach you that?
Yeah.
No, not really. It can if you adjust it forward and backward, but I can't, maybe I can't. Can I adjust this one?
Oh, it acts like.
Yeah,
So
I
they're
can't
supposed,
adjust
they're supposed to be adjusted.
I can adjust this one a little bit, so I can, but that's not really the advantage of this.
I was told that it creates like an even, this like, thing
It
light.
makes a very small light to be very bright. It acts like lighthouse.
It's an amplifier. That's the key to it. Yes, if I move the light, and in fact you can see this. Let me just open it up. Again. I can go in here and I can move the light forward and back, and that will either spot the light or flood it. In other words, it will either make it a smaller circle of light or a bigger circle of light. We can look at that when we turn this on in a minute, right? That doesn't have that much to do with the Fresnel. A little bit, but not much. The real advantage of the Fresnel, anybody know what the Fresnel was invented for?
You can?
Nope. Lighthouses.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because you didn't have bright enough lights. And this amplifies the light. If I take one of our LED lights, in fact we did this a couple semesters ago, put it outside that window to throw like some sense of sunlight in here, right? And I take the Fresnel that we have for the LEDs and I put it on that light, it increases the light by 2 stops. That means it quadruples the amount of light coming out of here. That's significant. You double it and double it again. Okay? Now, let's get someone to bring me a C-stand. All right. Let's take, get the top off. And we'll get one of the light stands out next. While you're here, Logan, you want to put this on? Hand that off to Tyler. He'll take it for you. Or Zan, or whoever. Throw it in that direction.
So yeah, just,
Right?
See who it hits.
So you'll notice there's like a notch here, right? So you want to make sure you go all the way down. I love it. I keep seeing people who do come by with a sandbag ready to go. I love it. Right? So you let it slide down, and you want to make sure it slides down all the way, which it has. Then you tighten it up so that that screw, it's all the way down, so that that screw goes into that notch, and that will make the light very, very secure. It is interesting that the yoke on this light is bent.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what did you have to do to do that?
I was like, that's not me.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Okay, all right.
Should we put this on?
Yes, please. So this is a barn door.
It slides in through the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then so it goes in
Which direction?
that's smaller ring.
the smaller one here. All right, so it just kind of slides down into 3 of these notches, just like that. There we go. It's a little bent too, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
you've got this top one that's on a spring that you bring around. It is bent like crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on. We're getting the right.
I don't even know.
But I was about to say, isn't it?
It looks like it's in.
It's in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. And that locks in. So now, what are barn doors? I'm sorry. What are barn doors for? What are barn doors for?
For blocking the light and opening the light?
Right. Making sure the light goes where you want it to go and trying to block it off. That's, by the way, going to be part of shape, which we'll get to later. Okay,
Yeah, the little.
let's get a sandbag on this. It always needs to go on the larger leg of the C-stand. Okay. And let's bring this over here and let's get ourselves some power. And, you know, if you were going to be here for a long time, we would try to tape these cables down, or we would try to cover them with some kind of carpet remnants, just something to make them safer. We're just going to live dangerously today because we don't have time for safety. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Let's all be careful. If anybody trips on this, it's going to be me. I promise you that. So, all right. Who wants to turn this light on?
I got you.
Come on over. Now we're going to tilt it up so it doesn't blind anybody.
Same.
And what do you do when you turn the light on, Zan?
Striking.
You say the word striking so no one is surprised.
Striking.
There we go.
What?
All right. By picking a 650, I picked the most intense light that I have in these kits. These say 150 on them, so they're much dimmer than that. Those say 300 watts on them, so they're kind of in the middle, okay? I picked this light because we're going to kind of be setting up a key light, fill light, probably won't get the backlight today situation, right? And sometimes you do kind of want your brightest light to be your key light. Sometimes not. Sometimes not. Sometimes your backlight might be bright.
Sometimes not.
Now,
Sometimes not.
okay, so for intensity, we've got the exposure on the camera.
Yeah.
We have got selecting the unit itself, the way it is manufactured, right? Particularly the lamp, but also the rest of this has to be manufactured to handle this 650 watts. We can also control the brightness and the darkness of this by controlling the electricity that goes into it. When we get to LEDs, they're almost all going to have their own dimmers, right? But incandescent lights don't have built-in dimmers.
We do have a little page filter thing.
Oh yeah, that's the next thing we're going to do.
Yeah, I had to use 2 of them.
Yeah. Lucky you had 2 of them in a case. Sometimes we're lucky to have 1 in a case. So could you turn the light off for me, Zan?
Yeah.
And we always say, saving.
Saving.
Did you
Yeah.
forget this for us?
So now we plug.
I literally used these words to teach high schoolers because I was filming a promotional video.
You still forgot.
So we plug the dimmer into the electrical outlet and the light into the dimmer. Now we can strike it again.
Striking.
Could somebody turn off the overheads for us? Thank you, Tyler.
This is saving.
Hey, Tyler, didn't say saving.
There we go. Hey Tyler, do me a favor. Yeah. Could you just walk back there by the door back there and get those off for us too? You can go through here if you want to, or you can go that way, whichever one. Okay, so your choice.
No, I'll take the easy route.
Yeah.
Your poison.
Okay.
For now.
Now, this is at, hold on. There's a little bit of a break in here. This is at full brightness. Now, while we're here, we can show you what happens when you move that, that lamp forward and back. That's spotted. That's flooded. Okay? And yeah, the lens has something to do with that. I still think the fact that it amplifies the light's a way more important factor. Now, I can dim this light, but I want you to watch the light as I do this. So it's dimmer.
It gets really warm.
It does. As you reduce the amount of electricity going into the light, a tungsten light, you are going to change the color temperature of the light. Not a big deal for us right now because we're looking at a black and white monitor, but that could be an issue. So very seldom will you see professionals using these kinds of dimmers in order to control tungsten lights.
It makes a really nice kind of sunsetty feel.
It does. I mean, when we get into color, we'll see that we can use all this stuff to our advantage, right? All these changes of color. Now, these kits are going to come to with a variety of different, sometimes have them, sometimes don't. These little scrims. They're just like a screen door,
Soften.
right? They don't soften it. They shouldn't soften it. They're not supposed to soften it, and I don't really soften it, right? The only thing this really does, oh yes, I'm going to need that, is dim the light. And I can't remember the color scheme. It's like some of these take out 1/3 of a stop, and some take out half a stop, and some take out a full stop, right? But it's a way of dimming the light without changing the color, and it's a way of light without diffusing. It might diffuse it a little bit, but it's not really going to be noticeable. So to put these in, and none of them are the correct ones to fit. Give me the other glove. You have the other
That was
glove?
the only glove we had.
We got one glove.
Whenever I got these
Okay.
lights, I didn't get any.
I can go
Hold-
run grab
hold
you
that.
one.
So I just burned my fingers a little bit.
Well, let's not do that. It's okay, Tyler, don't make a big deal of it. Okay, this is not going to fit because it's not the right size, but we can see, in fact, let's measure it. see how much this does. So this is a light meter. This is one of several ways of metering exposure. What you do with this device, let's take that out before it starts getting hot. What you do with this device is you tell it what ISO you're shooting at, and you tell it what shutter speed you're looking at, and you measure the light, and it will tell you what aperture you should be shooting at. You'll notice sensor, the light sensor's right there, right? If the light sensor is uncovered, you point it at the subject and let the light reflect off the subject to meter. If you take this white bulb and put it over it, you can then point it at the light and measure the light coming from the unit itself, which is a more accurate way to do it. Okay? So, all right. I hate these, but better than nothing. Let's see, we got 800, we've got... That's all right. We're gonna let, yep. Okay. Will you put that at 1/60th of a second? Because I can't get 1/48th of a second on this because it's a piece of crap. Got it. Okay. All right. Don't put it in yet. So, to measure this light, we'll measure it from right here. You normally measure it from your subject. It is, I'm really close to it. It's an F18. All right. Let's drop that one in. I don't want to have to fish that out. I measure it from the same place. Wow, that's a huge difference. F7.1.
Oh, it's a show camera.
F18 could not have been right. Hold on a second. Yeah, F13. That may be like a 3-stop.
Try this one.
Yeah, let's try it.
I'm just gonna hold it in.
Don't burn your hands in.
Yeah. We're getting a little bit of the rest of the light anyway, but F10, right? So you can pile those up until you get, now why does it matter? Why would we want to dim this light? Why not just expose to what it is?
So we can shoot at the stuff that we want to shoot.
I mean, the reason that
Exactly. And what is shooting at the f-stop you want to shoot at control for you?
A lot of stuff, depth of field.
Depth of field, shallow focus, deep focus. It also would help you control your shutter speed, right? If you needed to be going to a certain shutter speed. So you always want to be able to try to control the lights. Now, I think from this point on, I need a volunteer to be out here and be on camera.
Gotcha.
Oh, already got him.
Yeah,
He got in front of you.
Oh, I have a head.
No, it's fine. You can do it. I don't know. No. All right, horse.
Oh my god, the shoes.
yeah.
Come on, John.
Good to go.
Where do you
Bring a chair. Oh, do we have a chair out here that doesn't roll by any chance or swivel inside one of these?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, let's get that one out here. That's going to make everything easier. Is that one like together? It's not falling apart? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's decent.
Well, that's a good one. All right, Sean. Sit right here for me.
Okay.
Let me get to the camera here, Richard. You don't mind? Thank you for all
Jump
you've been
on.
doing. Remind myself what happens on this one. Here we go. Okay. Now, Sean, your eye line, I'm going to move a little bit towards you. Your eye line is going to be yourself. So you should be looking there. Okay? All right, let's make sure I got you. Let's brighten up a little bit. I got you in focus, which is not easy for me. It's because I'm basically blind. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to reset this light to turn it into a key light. We could do something fancy like Rembrandt lighting, which we'll do next week definitely. We're not going to go fancy with that yet because Rembrandt lighting would mean putting the light all the way up to the ceiling, and we want to be able to do things to the light so we can see what we're doing. So what I'm going to do, and Sean, it's coming your way. Where'd that one glove go?
It's on the kit where
This is why I have to have teaching assistants to help me keep track of all the things I can't keep track of anymore. Had somebody looking for my glasses once in 10 minutes while he realized it was on my head.
How much do you pay?
Huh?
How much do you pay?
How much do I what?
Pay.
How much does it pay?
How much should it pay?
For a
How
teacher?
much do I pay?
Yeah.
Gratitude.
It's not enough.
And learning.
It's not enough.
You can't get credit. You can't get credit for doing it. Now, Sean, this is getting ready to point straight at you, so it's going to be something.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, really. Do you want my sunglasses?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. So
Like being on stage.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is.
we're going to measure the light. This is telling me it's a 6 and f6.3. Richard, if you want to stay on this camera and set it to 6.3 for me, that should give us a proper exposure.
Yo, this is cool.
Yeah. And I think we need a little focus there. Or am I looking at it without my glasses? No problem.
One sec. Got it.
There it is. Okay. All right. Here's another thing you can do to control the intensity of the light. We're at 6.3. If I just walk this light back, watch out, sound right where you are. Let's say I'm estimating 6 feet.
I'll be able to.
We're now at a 4.0. That is a stop and a half. And remember, a stop is either halving the amount of light or doubling the amount of light. So we have taken at least.
4 feet.
You think it's 4 feet?
Ish.
Okay. Whichever. I used to. It used to seem to me that 6 feet was like a stop, but it's obviously more than that. So that's got to be it. I mean, I guess. Yeah. Let's go. Let's say 5. Compromise? Want to do that?
Compromise.
Okay. The point of this is, by moving the light farther away, I can make it dimmer. I can control the intensity. So I've got exposure. I have got picking the specific unit and how bright the unit is. I have got scrims that can go in and just cut off the amount of light. I've got distance that can control it. And you have to factor in as well, it's not just how bright is the light, it's how bright do we want the light to look. It isn't focused. My eyesight, Jesus, just going. So again, we're right on, or should be right on proper exposure. We can make it feel like a brighter place. I open the exposure and it's brighter for Sean. Or we can bring it down, right? So those are, I'm thinking we were right there. Those are all the different sort of ways we can control intensity. And that's kind of number 1. Okay. Next step we're going to get into, and I'm going to move this just a little bit further out so we can work with it a little bit. So Richard, let's take it to
About 5.6.
5.6. Very good. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Quality. What do we mean by quality of light? Anybody?
Is it how hard or soft the light is?
That is exactly what it is. So now that raises the next question. What do we mean by hard and soft light?
That would have to deal with the shadows, right?
It deals with one aspect of the shadows. Do we know what aspect of the shadows that is?
The
So how much detail it has?
the middle ground in between
How much detail it has?
the light and
How
I'm gonna wear a cool ass blanket.
No.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any
It's
more
how-
guesses? Anybody else got any more wrong guesses?
I'm about to say, were any of ours close?
It is how hard or soft the edges of the shadow
That's
is.
literally what we were
Oh, did you
getting
say
at.
that? I'm sorry.
Damn, okay.
That's so mean.
Wow, dude.
Sorry about that.
That's what I was trying to, like, I'm sorry that I'm not in your brain and saying the correct words in the order that
Well,
you're.
that's the way they're going to be on the test, Zan.
Okay.
Damn it, Taz.
What I tell you?
Oh,
Yeah, but you gotta take. It's only for you.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just
Do you need my
lights.
sunglasses?
Lights affecting this eye specifically.
Do you need my
So that's pretty
sunglasses?
fun.
Yeah, bro, just take your sunglasses.
Uh,
So you look cool in black and white anyway.
yeah, no, I look cool anyway.
All right. Let's pan over to the right a little bit, see if we can get his shadow in frame. All right, there we go. Not quite that far. Okay. The edges of the shadows has nothing to do with contrast, which is how bright or dark the shadows is. This is only the edges of the shadow. Okay? And if you want to close your eyes every once in a while, you're welcome. So right now, in fact, this is going to move the shadow on him, but it's actually going to put it back.
Yippee.
Right now, let me go up with this.
Go for that, dude.
Look at the shadow that's coming off of Sean's nose. Look how hard, how sharp the edge of that shadow is, right here, right? Look at how sharp this edge of that shadow that he's casting is. Now, the shadow going here is a little softer because his face curves and it's wrapping around it instead of it being a much more sharp object, an object that's in the foreground and is throwing a shadow, right? Why would we want to soften the edges of those shadows? What difference does it make?
Tone,
Yeah.
like the film.
Yeah, so what does
Creatively?
it
Conveys
do?
a different feeling.
Okay, it definitely conveys a different feeling,
Yeah.
right?
The darker, I think the darker and like harsher the line of the shadows
Yeah.
are, creates a very, like, what are you? And then like the more
Negative?
softy, kind of like in Isaac's,
Okay, yes,
that we
yes,
just watched.
yes.
It feels more like homey, like coming through the curtains.
We can even get the genres, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
softer
Like-
edges are more like a rom-com, and those
Mhm.
hard
And
edges are
then,
more
like-
like a
and
film
then-
noir horror movie.
I'm about to say,
I feel like
yeah,
I'm
that's hard.
being interrogated right now.
One of the things I want to do right now, because I want to try, and this is very difficult, guys. I want to try. See if I can pull this off.
Yippee.
I want to try to keep the contrast, which is what we're going to be talking to about next. I'm going to have to put it on here, and then we'll know. I'll know it doesn't move, and I'll know it doesn't change. And that's probably a good idea. I'm not going to set up a light. Holy smoke! I'm not going to set up a light over here as a fill light yet. I'm going to use this reflector as a fill light. We'll set a light up to do this in a few minutes. I don't even know if this needs one, to be honest. You always want the weight out over the largest leg, and I haven't done a very good job of that here, but I'm
Nice
going to fix
job.
it. Ah, because we're missing a screw.
That's screwed up.
Uh-oh.
That's screwed up.
Okay, everybody be very careful
Every
with
day, I
this,
respect
okay?
mom's cage.
See, this is what I want to work for the cage, because I would have that place
All right.
land like a.
So let's take a look at Sean for a second and see how much we're able to brighten up those shadows on his face just by bringing in a little bit of reflection. We're going to even move it a little bit closer. Okay? So we're still looking at how sharp the edges of the shadows are, even though the shadows are not as dark as they are. So, the first thing you guys are taught, you know where this is going, I'm going to say that right. First thing you guys are taught is to take a little piece of 12 by 12 diffusion and throw it over that light
Yeah.
to soften it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Right. Okay, let's do that. What makes a light softer is increasing its size. The reason one of these little 12 by 12 pieces of diffusion soften a light.
What do I do with a glove this time?
It's behind Richie.
Might be.
It has to be safe.
Is because it's
I
going
need
to
it.
take this light that right now is the size of the Fresnel, so I'm guessing maybe 6 inches, right? 6 inches kind of round, 6 inches circumference. And it's going to turn it into something that is 12 inches. 6 inches to 12 inches. Now the first thing that happens is the light gets dim. Let's see where we are now. 3.6, took off about a stop and a half of light. All right, Sean, look at yourself for a minute. Would you call that substantially softer?
Oh, yeah.
I can't see, but I'm gonna
You
guess.
would?
It's just giving.
Can't notice it though.
Don't move too much.
No.
Look at the shadow of his nose and look at the shadow on the sheet behind him.
The shadow on the sheet is a
Pretty
lot
soft.
softer than the shadow
Yeah.
on his nose.
It's a little bit,
Yeah.
right? It's not making much of it.
Because it's far away from the subject?
No,
Because we need
it's-
another light.
it's not making the light big enough to make that much of a difference. Whenever I come to student shoots and I see this, I think, wow, you just lost a stop and a half or 2 stops of light for very little return on your investment. All right? So let's play at making it even bigger and see if we start to see a difference. So let's start. I should be making you guys do this.
Yeah, about to say, we're
Somebody
in
can
here.
get this C-stand that's not set up quite right. That leg is not where it needs to be. That looks better. Okay, grab that. We're going over in front of the light.
Points. Crossing. They're crossing.
So here's the advantage. Here's what C-stands are really used for. Okay, the diffusion's coming off there. Let's hand that to you, Richard. Okay, let's bring it over here. Let's point the big leg that way, towards the light, and let's bring it all the way back over here. We can come as far as we want, okay? So this part, right, we can connect things. So you see I use that to connect the little reflecting board over there, right? And we can pull it out. We want it to be, that's not working. We want it to be over the large leg, right? Dang. Here we go. So, pull this out like this. Now, for once I've done something correct. You know, when I'm putting up a board like that or a sheet like that, I don't worry about it too much. But sometimes we're putting up things that start to get some substantial weight. You want the weight to be out, if you're facing this bolt here, this knob, you want the left to be to the right of it. Because if you put some weight out here and it starts pushing this way, it tightens this. If you've got the weight out here and it starts going this way, it loosens it. And you'd rather it get tighter than looser, right? So all of these flags, this is called a silk. They all have pins in them. So what we're going to do, loosen that, and we're going to put this pin right through there. Now it's not going to go in the center because there's something in the way. But it'll go right there. So we tighten. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. We're going to put this. Should probably have a sandbag on this, but somebody want to grab a sandbag?
Sit down in the back.
We're going to put this between the light and Sean. And what we want to do is make sure that the light is filling up the silk. So I'm going to walk it a little bit further away. Because what we do now, this is now the light source. We've gone from that little tiny light source to a 12 by 12 light source to something that I guess is 24 by 36 or so, right? Now, once again, we've lost exposure.
Sean has gained his eyesight back.
Yippee!
We're at a 2.8.
Dang.
True.
Right there.
Okay? Now, one of the things that's also happening is the shadows are getting brighter because this light is now bouncing all over the room.
Yeah.
Try not to pay attention to that. We're just looking at the edges of the shadows. Look at his nose now.
Yeah.
Look at the shadow on the sheet now. Just look at the edges. That's all we're looking at, right? Now that's softer, right? Theoretically, it's more flattering. The harder the light is, every little lump and every nook and cranny, every wrinkle that you have, is highlighted. So now that's a really cool look. This is something we often do to try to flatter the subjects or make the whole tone a little bit softer, a little more romantic, whatever it might be, right? Okay. Let's go one more step. Here is a piece of carefully constructed and manufactured lighting material that I recommend you all just go ahead, bite the bullet, and spend the money to get. It is a $7.50 shower curtain lining. Okay? So what we're going to do, someone want to come over here and help me with this. We're going to take this down. We're going to need another C-stand over here. Ow. So let's take it out. Take that out. Okay. We're going to spin this around.
This actually kind of feels nice
Oh yeah?
for some reason.
Okay,
a little chilly?
so Logan, if you
a
can,
little chilly?
set that C-stand up to be kind of at the same kind of height and orientation that this one's at.
Oh, that's cool.
So where have all the, there's one, there's one more of these. Oh, there's two, that's what I need, right there. By the way, these are clothespins. These are wooden clothespins. What kind of pompous asses force us to call these by some accounting number from 1934?
That's just
I don't
about
know. They're wooden clothespins.
It's a great
You
day.
use them because they won't melt when you put something on a light, okay? So we're gonna
You're not called flippers.
put this right here. Boom.
You good?
And what we want to do, Logan, is get you out here at the same height, although yours is taller. So, let's raise this one up a little bit. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't know if I can go. So I'm happy to go down the alarm. It is just bigger.
Yeah, it won't. So we'll raise this side. So just let's use
You're about
this.
there.
Let's use this side. Okay. So let's spin it. Yep. Now the weight's going in the right direction. And let's walk it over here so it's parallel with this.
I'll say that's about the same.
Okay? All right. Now once again, what we want to do is try to fill this up with light. Because now we're going to make the light something that's more like 6 feet by 6 feet, right? Which means a couple of things. Number one, we've got to raise it. Let's see if we can raise it evenly. Now when you raise stands, you start at the top and you work your way down. Because what you don't want to do is start at the bottom and end up wanting to extend it, and the things you have to loosen is up there where you can't reach it, right? So you start at the top. Keep going. Okay, let's lock it down there. Now we want to walk it towards Sean. Wait, there's some more in that big, the other end of that big tub there, back in that corner. Yeah, you see some? Hey guys.
Hello.
Okay, at this point, we've got the light pretty much filling this up. So this is a substantially larger light source than we had before. It's not on camera, is it?
Nope.
Nope. All right, so let's take a reading. Little less, we're at 3.2. Now, get to where you can see the monitor and take a look at the shadows on Sean's face. Take a look at the shadow coming off of his nose. Take a look at the shadow on the sheet behind him. Or lack thereof. For one thing, it's a little too bright to see it now, but if you look at it with the naked eye, you'll just see it's just really not there anymore. Think about you're outside walking down the sidewalk on a sunny day, and there you are. There's your shadow. You hold up 2 fingers, you can count them in the shadow. Pringles. At least I'm not trying to say XLR. Was this a class where I basically had a stroke?
I think so.
Yes. I couldn't remember XLR, and I kept looking at somebody. Kept going LR X LR LR
Oh, that's great.
And Gwen went, "Oh, are you okay?" No, I don't think so. Okay, so we've made this into a huge light source. This is now substantially softer. Now again, we are getting the shadows brightened up a little bit because of all this light bouncing around. But if we just look at how soft, the sharpest shadow we had right above his nose, look how much softer that is. And we think about now, does that feel different than it felt when we had no diffusion of any kind up there?
1,000.
Right, okay? So we want to make it appropriate to our subject. You know, if you go back and watch watch movies today, you will see this.
Samurai?
You go and watch a man and a woman having dinner. And the guy will be hit with hard light, and the woman will be hit with soft light. Just like they did in Casablanca in 1942, right? Because they want the woman to be more glamorous and attractive, and the man to be tougher. Right? There is sexism in lighting. I know this may be a shock. There's racism in lighting as well. We can get into that. These are fun topics, right? Okay. All right, so that's quality, right? You're making a decision about the shadows and how soft you want the edges to be. How are we doing on time? We got about 20 minutes. All right, we got enough time. All right. 15 minutes. So I want to get to one more topic here. Contrast. To do that, you guys can help me. We're just going to take this down. We're just going to deal with hard light because it's going to be easier to see.
Damn. Striking.
I can just look at this one. I'll look at the
And let's just turn these down so nobody walks into them. We're probably going to need.
Be fine, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Now, if we're looking at this without any diffusion on it, we're back to 5.6 there, Richard.
5.6, right there.
Okay. 5.6, we're going to consider our base, right? The whole definition of a key light, you know, 3-point lighting. You guys have heard this, right? Key light is your main source of exposure. A fill light is set up in order to brighten the shadows to the extent you want to. A backlight is set up in order to create a separation between your subject and the background. Okay. We're going to base our exposure almost always on the key light. So we're going to say this is our key light. Now I do want to mention one thing, and let's pan back over and get the framing that we had before. And if somebody doesn't mind, let's just walk that that piece of cloth and that whole C-stand out of the way.
Was he fine? Oh no, he was right here.
Yep, that's it. Okay. Now, one of the things you notice I've been doing, and we'll get into this in more detail, but I want to go ahead and plant this in your head. If we're doing something like we're doing with Sean, which we often are, right? Someone's looking off camera. You're doing an interview, they're looking slightly off camera. You're doing a conversation, they're looking slightly off camera. So Sean, do me a favor, make sure your nose is pointing right here. Yeah.
This direction.
Yeah. So look straight at me with your nose. Okay? Now, what you're going to notice is we're seeing more of one side of Sean's face than the other, right? I'm seeing more of this side, which we refer to as the broad side, and less of this side, which we refer to as the short side. Can't see his ear really on this side, right? So that's shorter. I would say 90% of the time, and you start looking at this, you need to pay attention to this. 90% of the time, the key light is on the short side of the face. Meaning the broadest side of the face is going to be the side of the face that is the canvas for the shadows. Because the shadows are important. Because the shadows are what give us a sense of depth. Right? Doesn't mean it's wrong. We'll look at it from every possible angle next week. But this is the most common way to do this. Now, we have a lot of light bouncing around up here. I'm going to walk this out. Take it down. Charlie, you mind just collapsing that a little bit so I don't walk into it? Yeah. Okay. With no light of any kind over here at all, I have to shade the light coming from there. And then I'm going to have to do math, which I don't like. To get a proper exposure on, that was 5.6, right?
This is 5.6 right
To get a proper exposure over here, I would have to be at f1.1. Okay, so 5.6 to 4 to 2.8
Yep.
to 2.
Yep.
And then we'll just say
1.5.
5 stops different, okay? 5 stops different is a ratio. If we say this side is 1, how much darker this side is 10, right?
Yeah.
Because you keep, well, hold on, but let me stop. It's 2, 4, 8, 16, 30. This is a ratio we're looking at right now of 1 to 32. That's how much darker the dark side of his face is, okay? So, simplest thing we want to do, and again, this is all part and parcel of what we were talking about soft shadows, and maybe these things need to be done in concert sometimes. You're going to get a different feeling from Sean looking like this to Sean looking like this. Right? I'm just bouncing the light back, and the further away I get this, the darker the shadows become. But we want to control this. So I need someone, maybe someone who hasn't done anything yet, set up a light stand real quick, because I know we're running out of time. Light stands are in this kit over here. Somebody come over and set it up. And we'll put it over there by Logan. Yeah. Okay, so here's the first, and this is why we're doing this, right? By the way, guys, if you can see this, you never loosen the one at the bottom. Okay, so that one stays in place, but you do loosen that, and that'll let you slide the legs apart.
Why does it have the notch up the bottom?
I have no effing idea.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't. I don't know. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does something. Maybe you can raise the whole thing. I don't know. Now, he's done this absolutely correct. You want those legs to be spread out as far as they can. The farther they're spread out, right, the sturdier and the stabler it will be. You also want to point a leg at your subject, because it's less likely to fall towards a leg than it is to fall between the legs. And the most important thing on a movie set or a film set or a video shoot or an interview or whatever is the subject. They can't be replaced. The rest of us, kindling wood, right? So we gotta make sure we protect them. Now, we've got this much smaller 150, which is not a lot brighter than a standard sort of desk light. And it's all tangled up, isn't it? All right. So if you want to go ahead, Tyler, we can plug it into one of those strips back there real quick. Now, while he's doing this, let me say this to you, just so you know. And I want everybody, when we turn these lights off, to just go hover your hand over it. If you touched that light right now, you wouldn't get all your hand back.
Really? You'd lose some finger.
It is astonishingly hot. You can't pack these lights up until they've cooled off. I used to keep one of these metal kits in my office because somebody had packed up a light that was hot, and there was nothing left inside but shards of metal and ash. It had burst into flame inside, and everything had burned and melted. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the, didn't I see barn doors hanging
Right there.
somewhere? Let's just go ahead and put these on there real quick, just in case we end up needing them. Okay, so one of the things that you do is you measure to get a contrast ratio. Let's walk this light all the way back to the table. Then we need to be absolutely certain, and then we'll turn it on.
Right now?
Yep,
All right.
Hey, Sean.
striking.
Keep looking.
And then let's make absolutely certain it's pointed right at Sean. So be careful if you need glasses. So you loosen it, because we'll need to tilt it a little bit. You loosen it here.
There you
don't
go.
need to loosen
There
it.
you go.
All right, so that's right on it. Okay, we can already see a difference up there, right? Let's see what that difference is. We've just added this one tiny light. 3.6 to 5.6. That's essentially 2 stops. So that's a ratio of 1 to 4. Okay. Now I don't know. Did we have any? Well, we just hold this in front of it for me for a second. Just don't let it get hot. Okay. So we put a little scrim there in front of it. Let's see how much of a difference that makes. 4.0. Did it get brighter? That can't be right. Hold on. Oh, I'm getting too much of this. Hold on. There we go. 2.0, right? So we can see now it's darker. 2.0 to 5.6 is like, is that 3 stops? 4 stops. So that's back to 2, 4, 8, 1, a ratio of 1 to 16. Right? The numbers aren't that important. I'm just kind of finally figured out how to do it, and I'm showing off.
Yes.
What's important is how it looks. Okay? So hold 2 of these in front of you for a minute, and we won't even bother measuring it. Sean, take a look at yourself there. All right? Now take one of those out.
Oh.
We're not changing the quality, by the way. The shadow's still hard. We're just changing the ratio between the bright and the dark. Let's take the other one out. Right? See how much difference we're kind of making here? Now, let's walk it forward. Never let the professors touch the equipment. We're now at a 5.0, so we're at a half a stop difference. And I don't know what that math is. Don't even try that. So let's look at Sean now. Right? There's still some shadow, and the shadow does give us some sense of depth and another word that's not going to come. It does still give us some sense of depth, but the shadows are very, very minimized, right? We're almost equal, key light to fill light. There's really not much advantage to having your key light and your fill light equal. It just flattens everything out. So, do me a favor, walk this back very slowly. I'm going to do this. Okay, right there. That's back to 3.6. So that means we're 3 stops, right? So that's 2, 4, 8. That's like a 1 to 8 ratio, right? So Sean, look at yourself again for me real quick. And see, we're getting something. Now, there's some things that are not right about this lighting. Lighting should be higher. And we're going to do this for real and correctly next time. It's just easier to work with all this stuff being down here. You want the shadow of Sean's nose to be going down, right? In real life, light's almost always above us. Sunlight's above us, these lights are above us, right? Light that's like eye level or lower is kind of making a statement. But just look at Sean right now. Okay? Now, kill that light.
Killing.
Close.
Saving.
There you go.
It's different. Right? So these are your first 3 steps. And I want to break here in just a minute so we can start packing up and these things have to cool off. You got your intensity, which you need to control. Right? And when we get up multiple lights, I mean, contrast is nothing more than relative intensity, right? How bright is that light compared to this light? And then you're also going to have a backlight. How bright is that light compared to this light or to that light? How bright is this compared to the background? We could change that really quickly. Right. Quality is the softness of those edges, the way in which you're going to even out sort of, in some cases, if you're just trying to make someone look attractive or appealing, you're even out blemishes on their face, for example. You're just going to make them have an overall softer appeal. It's very similar, like you were mentioning, to doing something with soft focus, right, where you're making the whole image appear a little bit softer. And then with contrast, here's my argument. The higher the contrast, the higher the drama.
Mhm.
The lower the contrast, the higher the romance.
But what if it's such a dramatic romance?
Then you decide which one it's going to look like. And you know what? You can play these things against type, right? You can shoot a romantic comedy and light it like a horror movie. And see, you can do that. That's been done. That's been done, right? You can shoot a romantic comedy and you can shoot a horror movie and light it like a romantic comedy. That's definitely been done, right? You can play these things against the middle. But here's the key. The key is knowing what to control and how to control it. And these are our first things: intensity, quality, and contrast. Questions?
Could you repeat that again about contrast? You said the higher it is.
To me, the higher the contrast, in other words, the darker the shadows, the more the drama.
Okay.
The brighter the shadows, the more, I'm saying romance, but the less the drama, I don't want to think of
Less intensity.
But yeah, I mean, I think,
It's
look,
romantic, it's homey.
what we're going to eventually work our way towards here is having a setup right here that we're doing as high key and then as low key, or vice versa. High key is when everything seems kind of bright and sunny and your contrast is pretty low, so there's not a lot of shadows. You still want shadows, but the shadows aren't terribly dark. And the entire environment's not the same brightness, but it all feels warm and sunny. Low key is this. Low key is there are dark shadows, the background, there's things you can't see. Low key is film noir. Low key is, your typical kind of horror movie.
It's how you'd film a nightmare versus how you'd film a dream.
Ooh!
Hell yeah.
I love
I
that.
like that one. I'm writing that one down.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll be here all
Any other questions? And what we're going to do when we come back next time is we're starting over again. We're going to go through these real fast, and then we're just going to keep building on it. We're eventually going to have a lighting setup here that, well, it won't be the greatest thing in the world, but it will be
Better than
adequate.
A lot better than
It'll be better than most
It'll be
songs.
adequate. Okay, any questions? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, let's save this light. So what we have to do is pack everything else up first, and we can get the overheads on, whoever's near there, Tyler. We need to pack up everything else first so that this can cool, but I do want everybody to come by and just pass their hands over the top of this light
I don't need to.
as you start to work. We're also going to
I
need
have
to get
trauma
the tables
with that,
back
about
in
that.
place once we get all this stuff out of the way.
Oh my lord.
All right.